The Electoral Commission of South Africa has opened the first voter registration weekend. There are 25 million registered voters on the roll as of June this year, with 14 million unregistered voters between the ages of 18 and 35 ready to be snapped up. But are younger South Africans becoming more disillusioned with politics and politicians? Joining me to unpack this now is political analyst Professor Sethulego Matebesi. A very good morning to you, Prof. Thank you so much for your time. The highly anticipated 2024 elections are just around the corner, and a massive chunk young people who are yet to register to vote up for grabs. What's your take on the young vote in South Africa, especially as we're hearing from young people the reasons why they're not taking such an interest in politics?
Now, good morning, Mpho, and good morning to the viewers. We're sitting with a huge challenge. And before answering your question, perhaps also in general, just to try and debunk the importance of voting. Voting is a civic duty in any democracy. It enhances the democracy, but it also indicates the responsibility of citizens. And we all know it has been, labored, lamented on numerous occasions that the youth are the future of any country. And if they do not participate in such an important democratic process, then the question is, what is going to happen about their futures? They should forget about the challenges that we face politically in South Africa, but it is their responsibility to go and vote. And it has been a huge, huge problem in this country if you look at not only voter registration by the youth, young people, but also voter turnout by young people participating in our elections and democratic processes. So that is a huge concern, and perhaps we should encourage the youth to take care of their future, and that future cannot be taken care over the next month, next year. It should be taken care this weekend by going out to register or ensure that they are on the, a voting list.
How do we begin to define the youth of the country? I mean, in breaking it down and getting a sense of the playing field of young people in South Africa?
Yes, I think there's been a break in the line, but if I heard the first part of your question, it is very important for the youth of South Africa to go out and vote. And there's been a question coming from the public in general to say, but does my vote mean anything? Yes, it may seem that one vote in a sea where there are millions and millions of voters will not matter, but it does matter. And it is not our duty to indicate to voters who to vote for. But fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, once you've got a higher voter turnout, who knows, maybe things will change in South Africa. It will bring undue pressure on the electorate, even those who will win, to say, but this has been a vote of confidence. Is it not about time for us to change the trajectory, the political trajectory of South Africa, but based on the confidence that South Africans have invested in them, shown in us? And I think these are some of the issues that voters, and especially young voters, should consider. They can bring change to issues such as education, funding, and all that. But that change can only happen when they participate in elections.
Yeah. What I was trying to get to, as I posed that question, I do understand that you didn't quite hear most of it, but in trying to define the types of young people, because, really just trying to get to the sense where we're understanding what young people are grappling with, what the entire demographic is grappling with, because it's clear that there is a trust deficit, especially amongst those who have witnessed their parents and older groups towards the loyalty they've shown, for instance, towards the ANC. what are they grappling with as the question on whether or not to participate hangs in the balance?
Yes, no, thanks for that, Mpho. The issue of this generational vote or voting for Nelson Mandela's legacy has been part of the South African political landscape for quite some time. But I don't think that, for me, it's quite a predominant factor or even a narrative that the youth peddles around or advances. The issues as the youth of South Africa are exposed to what both me and you are exposed to. I mean, I woke up this morning, I slept yesterday. The moment if you hear some noises outside of your house, you immediately ask, are you under attack? Because we are living in a crime haven. South Africa has become crime-ridden. South Africa is battled with many challenges, and sometimes it seems as if we fail to deal with the basics. Painting a road, filling up a pothole, providing basic services. But it's not only about the government, it's also the responsibility of the citizen. Now, all these factors, the very complex factors, issues, boils up, and what in the eye of the youth is a failed state. They become disillusioned with processes. They become disillusioned in our democratic institutions. And at the end of the day, the easiest thing that they can do is to decide to stay away. And yes, there are those who will continue to vote for the ruling party based on their parents, voting choices or allegiance to the African National Congress. It's the same as soccer. When you are a chief fan, your children automatically, although these days they may just go and decide to join, favor or support another party, soccer team. But that is the nature of our society. But I strongly believe that it goes beyond that. It is this disillusionment. But in terms of voting patterns, yes, that to a large extent does play a role.
The impact of the vast, restless sea of young people, they speak about poverty, joblessness, and boredom, really. And some commentators have even suggested that an Arab Spring within the moment, because of these vast challenges, could be on the horizon. What's your thoughts around that?
No, I don't think we have reached that stage. Despite all the challenges that we faced as a nation, we are very fortunate that some of our democratic institutions and processes still will try to mute some of these disillusionment, because some of these systems really have to crumble to reach a state where we can now talk about an African Spring or even a South African Spring. So we haven't yet reached that stage. And even if you look at youth formations and all that, they are so, if you look at it, at how they are formed, I mean, there's not a collective or united front where we can now say the youth are united across race, across political ideologies to be able to sustain what some people will call almost like a mini revolution in the country. We haven't yet reached that stage, and we hope we will not reach that, because this is not what we should actually promote. But fact of the matter is, you are sitting with a time bomb with a highly disillusioned youth. And I very briefly, Mpho, if you look at some of the solutions that have been found, tertiary institutions, NAFSAs, instead of bringing solutions, they are creating problems where people want to put money in their own pockets and they devise means. It's all these things that builds up, and unfortunately, they are the ones that builds a perception that this kind of democracy is not working for the youth.
Do you think it should be left to politicians alone to energize the young people of South Africa to go out and register to vote and be part of the voting process in making their mark? Or should the approach be also factoring the society and influences coming from other young people, encouraging other young people as well as community members?
Yes, not at all. It's definitely not even an IEC a challenge alone. You know, it's a South African, and fortunately we do have civil society organizations who has been also involved in voter education. But it also depends on the youth who are actively involved in politics, or not even involved actively in politics, but those who has been voting to demonstrate or at least explain to those who are so disillusioned, so that they don't want to register, and try and convince them about the importance of taking part or participate in such an important democratic, process, because it is about their own future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Sethulego, giving us a sense of the voter registration weekend drive, which starts today, of course, up until tomorrow.